Oh, it is! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh! Oh! Hello? Knock knock? Oh! Whoa! 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 Rise, my child! Oh, wait, that's so cool. What the f— Hello everybody, this is Reimu, and today I'm going to be talking about the first ever French aircraft carrier that's going to be added to the game, the Béarn. Now, main gimmicks of the ship, according to the dev blog, in its current state right now, is actually the fighters. Usually a carrier's gimmicks would be something more offensive based, like the striking capabilities or the speed, right? So anything along those lines, but the Béarn is actually going to be more focused on a defensive side, which are the fighters. Not only the patrol fighters that the planes drop down at a location, but also the ship's fighters, and we'll go over that in just a second. Now, the armor, nothing too special. As you can see here, I was looking at this just now about her citadel. It's actually borderline citadel, so you're gonna have actually quite some difficult citadel her at close range. Best bet probably just shoot like HE on the side or AP and try to hope for full pins. But her armor layout, nothing too special. 24mm deck, 19mm, you know, there's the average of a tier 6 carrier. 83mm armor belt on the side, and yes, it is a waterline citadel. Excluding that, going on, it's going to be survivability. She sits at the top 2 or top 3 spot with 44,700. I believe Ranger is higher. Yeah, 44,900 HP. I don't think any carrier has 45k yet. But Béarn is sitting, I believe, top 2, top 3. The aircraft, we'll go over this in just a second here. She does carry the Volt 156. And the artillery, nothing too special. Secondary armament, she has 155s, but she has 8 of those. In terms of accuracy, I'm not too sure. I gotta ask about that, but nothing too special. 5 km range, right? It's secondary on a tier 6 carrier. Like, hello? AA though, she actually has the lowest of the AA of the tier 6, which is kind of frightening. She has a continuous damage of 131 and short range AA of 70. And the firing range is 3.0 km. That's very concerning, seeing how other things like Ryujo has a 5.8 km, right? And then Ranger has 4.8, but she has a lot of continuous damage for the tier. 5.2 on the Vesser, right? So the Béarn definitely is struggling with the lowest firing range for the AA guns. And I was hoping that she would have a much larger radius of AA fire and also a stronger continuous damage. She's basically relying purely on fighters for her survivability if she is getting CV sniped already. Maneuverability, 21.5 knots. Now this definitely sitting at the lowest. Absolute slowest of the tier. This is basically Vermont's level of speed. Vermont's, Minnesota. This is for a tier 6 carrier compared to other things like, you know, Ryujo has 29.4 knots, and then Vesser goes 32. I know Lowenhart is the fastest by far. It goes 35 knots. Yeah, 35.8 knots. Maneuverability, the turning is definitely a bit lackluster, but Béarn is very, very slow right now. And this on top of her average concealment, 12.6. I do believe that's middle ground. That is actually, yeah, that's middle ground, 12.6. Ryujo has the best of 9.6. Yes, and the largest is Arc Royal for sure at 14.4 kilometers. Béarn sits at a good middle ground of 12.6, and her air detectability is actually second best of the tier, 9.2. She only loses to Ryujo, who has a 6.4 air concealment, and having this level of air concealment is actually very helpful for her, because especially if she's about to get CV sniped, the carriers will have quite some trouble to actually find her. But if a ship is actually rushing her, she will not be able to run away because they are 20. It's a 20 knot carrier. Now, going over the aircraft, these are the Volts, and they are going at 123 cruising speeds, maximum speed at 158 as base stats. They do have a usual setup of the 12 planes in the attack flight and 8 total in the squadron. So it's the usual 4 attacks, same as Ryujo, Vesser, all that kind of stuff. She carries AP bombs, AP dive bombers, and her second is HE skip bombers. The AP dive bombers, they have a pen of 219 millimeters, which is losing to Ryujo, but it is higher than Vesser, I believe. It is higher than Vesser. Vesser sits, let me double check here. Let's see, the Vesser sits actually at 227. Ryujo has 229, so actually Béarn is actually at the lowest, 219 penetration for the bombs. But because it's a, you know, it's a tier 6 carry, it doesn't really mean much. You're gonna be striking cruisers, getting good citadel damage with them, unless they have trolley armor, kind of like Ochakov, and there's another one I can't really think of, but it's also it's a German cruiser. I can't really think of it, but tier 6, tier 8, focusing German battleships will definitely be a lot easier for you. They are the easiest to citadel. Cruisers in general will be easy to citadel with that this kind of bomb. The Alpha is in the middle ground. It's lower than Vesser's, higher than Ryujo's. You're looking at 6,300 maximum bomb damage for a citadel. She carries a 16 on her reserves for both plane types. And the restoration as base is 65 and 65. They are the exact same plane, so they will generally have the same exact stats. Now looking at the skip bombers, the skip bombers actually have, they are special. They have Immelmann's level of penetration and Immelmann's level of damage. Looking at 11,000 maximum bomb damage and 68 millimeters of pen. And I do believe she has higher fire chance than Immelmann. Immelmann comes at, I think it's 60% fire chance, right? Béarn sits at 63% base. And these bounce twice. I don't really know the exact range on how far you can drop these bombs from when you're full accelerating at max speed. Obvious because I haven't played the carrier yet, but just speculating right now. Okay, so now the gimmicks, okay? The gimmicks are special. Special indeed. As you can clearly see, she has 8 patrol fighters and she has 6 fighters on her ship. Compared to something like another tier 6 carrier, all the tier 6 carriers are the same except for Béarn. The Ryujo has 3 patrol fighters and she has 4 ship fighters. While the Béarn, she has double the amount of patrol fighters and she has 2 more ship fighters. Now the gimmick for this is not only does she have she has twice the amount per squad, but also the action time is increased by 40 seconds. Usually the other tier 6s, they have a max time of 60 seconds. These fighters last for 100 seconds. So she has a 100-second consumable action time, twice the amount of fighters, the fighters in each consumable, okay? She has 8 fighters compared to the usual, I think 3 or 4. Let's check it real quick so I'm not messing up. 3. Okay, so compared to something like, you know, even Ranger has 3 as well. Yeah, they all have 3. 60-second action time, number of fighters is 3, Béarn has 8. That is a lot. That is actually wiping out the entire squadron of any tier 6 carrier. 8 fighters, action radius is 3 kilometers compared to the usual 2.5 kilometers radius that other tier 6 carriers have. Reload time is 8, that's usual, yeah, that's normal. Number of consumables is 8. So these are very scary fighters, right? And now looking at the ship's fighters, she has 6 consumables of them, meaning she can defend herself 6 times from a strike. She has 8 fighters in them as well. Again, able to wipe out completely another carrier's squadrons. As you can see on the Ryujo, the standard fighter is 4 fighters in the squad, and she has 4 consumables. Béarn, 8 and 6. Twice the amount of fighters and 2 more as a consumable. So on top of that, one thing that they don't show here is these fighters on this ship have a special type of spotting range. Usually on other carriers, if you spot a ship based on their air detectability, you could drop a fighter and you can actually spot them. You can perma spot them, right? Especially if it's a battleship. Let's say a battleship has like 12 km air concealment. If you go within that range, you can drop a fighter and you can leave if you're any other carrier. On the Béarn though, they stated on the dev blog that these fighters will not be able to spot anything outside of 2 kilometers range. So that means you have to be within the range of another ship of 2 kilometers to drop fighters and spot them. Your actual squadron, they can spot things like normal, but it's only specific for these fighters. So that means you either drop it on top of them or you drop it on top of a smoke to potentially try to spot something. Either way, these fighters are not going to be used as an offensive tool to spot stuff. Again, this is purely a more defensive focused carrier, meaning maybe we might see it in competitive play if you're going for more of like a defensive composition and a ship build. Main issue with tier 6 right now, we have tier 6 clan battles, right? Double Ryujo is usually the pick right now. Full striking power, full, you know, that kind of stuff. Imagine double Béarn against a double Ryujo, right? Sure, they're gonna be able to spot stuff over your French carrier, but after they get that strike off on your ship, they're gonna lose the entire squadron unless they pre-drop. If they pre-drop, which they should be doing, they'll be able to conserve some planes, right? But the moment that they mess up and they start, as the game progresses, after maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they keep getting fighter caught. Those Ryujos are going to end up getting deplaned. Okay? And because Béarn cannot spot, basically can't spot anything outside of, well within AA range, you'll be using these fighters specifically for protecting your own teammates. Now, I don't like this gimmick. Why? Because right now in the current rework carriers meta, everything is about striking power. The faster you can kill a ship, the faster or the better chance you have at winning the round. A carrier that is more focused on defending their own teammates compared to a carrier that can immediately delete a ship off the board, that is a very, very big difference in game impact. Now, so that's why I don't like these fighters. These fighters, they are patrol fighters. So right now in rework carriers, you have to fly somewhere and actually place them down in a location that you want them to be in, and then you have to, you can do your own thing, flying over to the enemy and striking a target or spotting with your squadron. So that means if you have to defend a teammate on C cap, but your ship is on A cap, that is already a downside, because not only do you have slow planes, but also because you're more focused on fighters, you have to fly there and waste a good amount of like maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds to get to that location, drop fighters, and then do your own thing. Sure, you can proper place your carrier at a better location, like in the middle, and try to help out on have equal flight times on both sides A and C. But I don't like this gimmick of having strong fighters because of the fact that rework carriers force you to fly to a certain point, drop a fighter. These fighters though, they are no joke. They are actually very strong. 3 km action radius, 100 second action time, and 8 fighters per squadron. And you have 8 consumables too. Alright, compared to the 2.5 action radius. With the full build, these fighters are, I can assume that they are just scary. Absolutely horrific to fight against. Especially if you're against a carrier player that knows exactly what he's doing. Properly placing his fighters preemptively before the enemy carrier gets to your to your teammates to strike them. On top of the things that I've said, with the I can put up like a build that I've been imagining. Also, yeah, because it's a French carrier, you can also equip Philippe, and Philippe has the increased SE. So that will help your ships, your planes a lot. But if we're just going with, let's say, the usual build, you can have Search and Destroy, increasing the range, but probably going Enhanced Reactions and Interceptor. Now, why Interceptor? Interceptor, the trade-off with Interceptor is they cannot be killed by other fighters, but you trade spotting. Right? They trade spotting. Interceptors, they can't be killed by other fighters, but also they will not attack other fighters. They will only tag on to enemy squadrons. That's it. They trade spotting. Now remember, as I said earlier, the gimmick with these fighters on the Béarn, she only has a 2 km spotting range. So they can't spot anything in general, right? So Interceptor does seem like a good pick because of the fact that you can't spot anything anyways. Why not just invest in something more that makes your fighters invulnerable to other fighters, so they can't be reset, right? They can't be taken out, and so the enemy carrier can strike your teammates. The downside to Interceptor though, I'll show a clip here in just a second, as I recorded probably after this, but the issue with Interceptor is, as I said, it's a drawback. Your fighters will not get shot down and attacked by other enemy fighters. What this means is, because of how the fighter coding works, if you place your fighter down at a location, let's say in this case with your dive bomber squad, you cannot place another fighter down until these fighters, either their action time is over or they get shot down. If you run Interceptor, this means that the only way these planes can get shot down or get reset is the action time expires, or another ship, the enemy ship, shoots down the planes. Usually, because you're playing a more defensive-focused playstyle, your planes will be nowhere near the enemy ships, right? So the only way for you to be able to place another fighter down would be waiting for the action time to expire. It says here the reload is 10 seconds, but that's usual for all carriers. What the 10-second reload time means is it's after the planes reset or they get shot down, and then after 10 seconds, you can place down another fighter. That is the big drawback for this. Because she only has 2 squadrons, I'll show a clip of Indomitable on the screen here as I'm talking about this, but if you place both fighters down with your AP dive bombers and skip bomber squadrons, that means you cannot place another fighter down at all until, as I said, action time ends or they get shot down by an enemy ship. That is the biggest issue here. Now, sure, you can say then just don't run Interceptor, which is fine, and I believe that is probably going to be an okay thing to do because you want your planes to get shot down and reset. But if the other carrier knows what he's doing, he's definitely going to be able to reset your fighters, and then he can go ahead and strike the enemy ships by him just placing down a fighter on top, or near your fighters. Now, these if you if you do invest in full fighter build like this, the range actually increases up to 3.6. Very, very large action radius. This is actually, I believe it's a little bit shorter than Enterprise's fighters. And we all know how large Enterprise's fighters are for the attack radius. This is on a tier 6 carrier, and I believe Enterprise is what, 3.75? 3.8? Something like that. And Béarn can go up to 3.63. Very large action time or action radius of this, but again, she only has 2 squadrons, which means she can only place 2 fighters down at once, right? And this is what I'm very worried about. I don't like the current rework carrier system with fighters mingling in with this carrier's gimmick. It doesn't really work, in my opinion, just from thinking about it. But if you know what you're doing, if you properly place down fighters preemptively, especially mixed in with enhanced reactions, you place down the fighters before the other carrier gets to your teammate's location. This means that that carrier is locked down and she can't place any fighter, or she can't use her own fighters to kill it because of interceptors, and she has to wait out the consumable time. If you're playing more of like a turtle comp, a long-range HE spamming comp with smokescreen or anything like an island-hugging ship, you can easily defend them with these fighters. But yeah, I explained why I don't like the gimmick. I love the ship. I don't like the gimmick of being focused more on fighters. Just because of how rework carriers are coded with fighting, well, with fighters. Maybe if she had some sort of like a charge system similar to what the airstrikes are, or the current ASW planes are on battleships, right? If she has a charge up system where she can hold multiple fighters, fighter consumables, then maybe it'll be somewhat interesting, because then at that point, if she has two charges, right, to place down on both these squadrons, then she can have a total of 4. Something like that, right? Something to help the carrier, help this carrier at least, take full advantage of her gimmick, which are fighters. But yeah, that is Béarn. You know, nothing too special, but more, we're getting our first defensive focused carrier, which is interesting to see, because a lot of the times people are talking about the returning carriers that were removed from rework, from the whole carrier rework, SX, Taiho, Zuiho, those kind of ships. They were saying that they might come back as a support focus, which most likely will probably mean defensive. And in this case, Béarn is our first quote-unquote support defensive focused carrier, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this carrier is going to be evolving as it goes over to live servers for final testing phase. This is all done on the PTS and it's still work in progress. Very early state of reveal, but so far it is interesting. Would I take the ship in competitive if it's released like this? Probably not. Mainly because, Fujo exists. Fujo, Lowenhart, all these very strong tier 6 picks against destroyers, submarines, and light cruisers. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that is the first review of the current Béarn. Tier 6, our first French carrier, and I am very excited, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments, and if you want more of this, let me know. I can go ahead and possibly do some more first looks on the Russian carriers. I haven't done those yet, so I can definitely do stuff like that. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I do enjoy doing these kind of first look videos, so yeah.